Welcome to the David Bradley Show with your host, David Bradley.
Now you do the clapping part.
No, I wasn't paying attention because I was looking at the record and then I hit that on accident.
Oh, nothing but fun. Love it.
Too many steps at once.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, hi, everybody. We're having fun this morning. As you know, we've done CMA Fest, and I think we've done one other recording. The rest of the time has been nothing but editing and posting and having a lot of fun with it. So me and Caitlin's going to get back into the swing of things, having some awesome guests on and having some fun with that and see where this old Rocky podcast takes us. Are you ready? Are you sure? Caitlin's like, yep. All right. Cool beans. So we're going to talk to a very fascinating young man that he's actually been going to school for philosophy and clinical psychology and all this other good stuff, which I see his point, but we're going to get into his point on why he was taking that instead of doing the other things that he wants to do. So this is all about craziness today, guys. So we're going to have fun and we're going to talk to, I hope I'm saying this right, Ericksen Dickens. He's out in California. Ericksen, how's it going, man?
It's going good. I appreciate you having me on. I'm happy to be here.
Did I say it right?
You did, which is actually a rarity. So props to you.
Hey,
for one.
I love that. There's a lot of names I can't pronounce sometimes, and it's just like, I just give up.
You should hear the variations I have heard throughout the years of people butchering it. I mean, I've heard everything in the book from Eric Dickerson, Dicker, Doc, Dick, just everything. Like for some reason, Dickens to people just really is really confusing. I don't know how it happens, but for me, it's like two syllables, Dick ends. And
I think sometimes it goes back to the old, Dickens Christmas story,
Exactly. Charles Dickens. I like to tell people that I'm related to him, even if I have no idea if I am or not, but hey.
Well, you could say great grandfather or something like that.
Yeah. Old Uncle Chuck.
Yeah. I love that. Uncle Chuck. I love it. Sweet. So I'm going to let you know something up front.
What? You got what? I didn't even know they were still selling those things, hard copies. How'd you get one? What?
The girl that does the bookings, Julie.
Yeah.
She is like a bookworm, dude.
Okay.
And the minute, she put you on the show and everything else and got you booked, that's the first thing she did was order that off Amazon.
Thoroughly impressed right now. Wait, is that I can't see from here, but is that first edition or second? It should say on the title.
Second edition.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. The first one, my editor kind of botched some things, so I'm happy you got the second. But wow, you got my book. Okay, all right. Did you read the whole thing?
Can you autograph this from where you're at?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, that's probably the first sale I've gotten on it for at least a year or two at this point. I think my total royalties coming off that book was probably $180 in about 6 years. So hey, thank you for contributing.
It works, man. Well, I mean, that's one thing we're about on this show because we do all entertainment industry, and I really want people to support each other, because when you got 2 million artists out there, between writers and movie directors and, artists themselves, and then you've got the engineers and the sound guys and all this other crap. If everybody got together, we'd all be rich.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah. It's hard. No, I appreciate that mentality because it is so difficult in a lot of different ways for different artists and various industries to, be able to do it sustainably. And
oh yeah. Well, I've got a lot of friends that are in the indie movie business, which is really booming out here in Nashville for some reason.
Yeah, no, I've heard that. Actually a lot of productions they're leaving Hollywood because it's so expensive and they're going out to Georgia, Nashville. Yeah.
It's a buddy of mine, him and his partner came up and they started Omada Films, and one of their big production movies that they made was, oh God, what was the name of that? Dadgum. Starting to sound like Justin Love. Dadgum. These Streets We Haunt.
Okay. What was the premise? What was that about?
Kind of like a hidden innuendo of evil.
Interesting. Okay. Sounds deep.
And it all surrounded around one particular girl. And it was weird. There was like stalking killers and all this other stuff, but it left a lot to the imagination.
Sure.
And I'm hoping they would make another one, like a number 2 of it or something, because it would be really good to see a lot of those things all tie together, because I even told them, I said, sometimes that first movie don't do as good, but when you make that sequel may take off like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how you get like a franchise going, and that's where the real bucks are made. I feel like that's why a lot of movies these days being made, they do leave the ending relatively open ending, just for that possibility of being able to expand on the story more and
right,
and make more money, which is natural to do.
Yeah, which is crazy, because a lot of the times the first one will not make enough revenue to warrant producing and everything else and getting the money for that second one, when that second one could be the one that just really takes it all off.
Yeah, no, for sure. Have you seen the movies, the independent? Well, it started off independent, but Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Okay, so that first movie was super indie. I mean, I think they shot it in the director's house. I mean, I want to say the budget was below like $5,000 or something.
Yeah.
They had no expectations for it. They shot it super run and gun, and they had a good reception to it, but it didn't really like start the franchise. Like, and then they made the second one, and that's when the money started pouring in, because
right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. The whole film industry it's neat how it works.
Well, it's wild because, over here in Nashville, an indie movie maker could take $30,000 and make a full production movie. Whereas out in LA, an independent, it would be $1 million, $2 million before you could even get it off the ground.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why so many people are leaving that cesspool, is what I like to call LA. That
you might be getting a U-Haul.
No, and I've always been drawn to those movies that are a little bit more bare bones, because they're forced to work with what they have, and there's more of a realistic, I don't know, human nature to those movies. I personally am drawn to movies that are a little bit more character driven and about the story, where if you get a bloated budget, they start throwing it at effects and all that, it gets too much, and the human element just disappears. So right. I'm a huge fan of indie movies. One of the highlights of my life, honestly, was going to the Sundance Film Festival out in Park City in Utah. Right. And man, it was just, I watched so many movies, I was getting a headache from being in those screens, but it was just so cool to see all these directors, with budgets that were very low to moderate, making these films were amazing.
Well, it's crazy how some of that stuff goes, because I've had, I had a lot of films on here, and then there's a guy over here. He writes and he directs, but he's considered one of the top horror type guys in the Nashville area.
Okay. He
builds a lot of his own set.
Okay. Yeah.
He'll get used pallets, or, hey, you going to use all that drywall? And, he's building everything together. I think he's fixing to release a movie called The Tank.
Okay.
Or Quiet Room or something. I can't remember exactly what it was called. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, no, that's smart. Like a lot of, I'm seeing that more and more too. Like filmmakers with a little bit more of an entrepreneurial spirit to them. They're building sets, and then they're, leasing them out. They're charging for other crews and stuff to come film their stuff on them. And it's honestly a good revenue generating idea. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of filmmakers kind of going in that direction.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm trying to think of the daggum name of it. I thought I had it on my phone, but I don't.
So good.
It's crazy. Everything's nuts around here.
Saw some guy out in Arizona. He's a filmmaker. He built like a whole Western set, like straight from the 1870s. And it was huge. It was huge.
Well, I mean, Dale Earnhardt Jr. behind his house, I seen it on a documentary on him. But behind his house, he's got like an old Western town that they built. And I'd be like, hey, Dale, you want to rent that for a day?
No, for sure. Yeah. What does he use it for?
I don't know. I think it's a nostalgia thing with him.
Yeah, sure. No, that's cool. I did an acting project a few years ago where we went to a Western town that was built. It was like, I don't even know how it was built or why it was built, but somehow we found this Western town, much smaller in scale. There's probably only like 6 or 7 buildings. But there is a feeling you get when you're in like a Western old town. You just kind of feel that the spirits of the old West with you in a way, and it's easier to get taken back into that mindset a little bit. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like you walk through a city, you feel like the city, but once you get out in the woods, that roughness, that edge comes on because you're out in the woods,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just speaking from an old country boy. I mean, you're always looking for deer, or you're looking for this, or sheds out in the woods, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, I can relate. I was born in the country too. I grew up on a ranch. Yes,
Awesome.
I'm from California, but I grew up in the Central Valley, so it's more agriculture driven. Lots of orchards, ranches. So I grew up on a ranch, and I can relate to you on that. And on that note as well, like for me personally too, being outside, being more grounded with nature, it's like it made me more creative. I don't know, like it got my creative juices going. I always feel more whole when I'm in the country as opposed to the cities.
Oh yeah. And well, I mean, you get that imagination going, and there's all kinds of things. I mean, I remember, 7, 8 years old, and I'm building like forts out in the middle of the woods, and only thing I had was like a machete.
Yeah.
And I'm building stuff.
Yeah. I love it. No, I feel like a lot of kids who grow up in the city, they miss out on that opportunity because so many of my childhood memories consisted of my brother and I outside building forts. And, it inspires a lot of imagination, and life's also a little slower pace out in the country too. So you just have more time to think and reflect, and there's less stimulation coming at you and less billboards and this and that. And I don't know. I'm very grateful for my upbringing in the country for sure.
Oh yeah. You get out in the woods, and that's when that country talk starts kicking in real good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to?
Yeah.
It gets crazy, man. So anyway, you've got like this whole big wide path that you're on: actor, filmmaker, and a writer. Are you hoping one day to actually write your own movies and star in them, or direct them?
Yeah, I've considered it. I love acting. That's been a passion of mine since I was a kid, when my brother and I were out making movies and stuff. And then, I don't know, about 6 years ago, I started to take it a little bit more seriously. I got an acting coach down in San Luis Obispo, where I live part-time. And he actually, fun fact, he was the acting coach of Zac Efron, because Zac Efron used to live on the Central Coast. So
yeah,
I took it a little more seriously. And since then I've gotten some gigs, independent films, short films. Unfortunately, like you were saying, like I do have a lot of different things that I'm passionate about. So I haven't exactly bared down and just focused solely on acting, which is probably cutting me short a little bit, but it's a fun outlet for me and I enjoy doing it. But
I was watching the little film that you had on your website where you was like being serious, and then you was going to like comedy, and I was like, I almost laughed when you started doing the comedy bit. That was funny.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, I like to. I've always been drawn to characters that like on two sides of the spectrum. I like playing darker, like psychologically impaired individuals. Heath Ledger's Joker, The Dark Knight, I love that, and that really inspired me in a lot of ways. But then I also kind of like being the guy who the funny guy in the bar who you want to have a beer with, like a Chris Pratt type of character or something.
Right.
Those two sides of the spectrum, and I think that's been challenging for me in a good way because it broadens my range as an actor. You know, you always hear actors talking about how much range do they have, or what characters can they play. So, yeah, it's been a fun deal for me.
Yeah, because I almost spit my sweet tea out when you started going, I'm a knife twirler.
I thought about every little thing I could put in that little branding video I made. It just like I think I said too, I haven't watched that for a while, but I think I brought up the fact I'm an amateur magician or something.
Yeah.
I think I knew 2 tricks at the time. So build some credibility, why not make myself sound more interesting than what I am.
You're not cutting girls in half right now.
Not yet. I mean, I've fantasized about this for years now, but no. No, magic. Yeah, magic fascinated. I went down a magic hole when I was a kid too. For a while, I wanted to be a magician, and that's always fascinated me.
The metal rings always screwed me up. I never could get them to work right.
Yeah, I was that kid too. It's like I'd go to a magic show, and my whole intent of being there was to just try to figure out by looking how they were doing their tricks.
Yeah.
They were so skilled, and that's what amazed me the most is they were so skilled doing it live, doing it right in front of you. And I had no idea. No idea how they're actually doing the tricks, which is just, their ingenuity is amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know how they all do that. And I remember on My Cousin Vinny, he was sitting there explaining to his cousin saying, he was the one when the magician was doing something. He's like, it's in his pocket. It's in his hand. He's cupping it, and I was just like, I'd get amazed by it, but then I'd be like, how did he do that? I wanted to know how.
Same. Exactly. Like dissect it. And I don't know, there's something too about like magic and then the crossover between like magic and then filmmaking. Because if you think about it, it's like filmmaking is movie magic, just the way they do things and the effects and all the practical. I mean, it's amazing watching movies. It feels magical. So I think maybe that's where I had that similar dual passion between magic and then making movies.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what Thomas from Omada Films, he was telling me, because when they were up here, I got a 3-camera setup in the whole 9 yards here, and he was just like, man, you can make a movie in your house. And I'm like, I do.
Yeah. Exactly. What kind of cameras do you have?
I got the Canon Vixia HFG 50s.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
It's same ones that Rogan's use.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, no, that's another thing too. A lot of people don't realize, like when they're watching something, people who aren't familiar with filmmaking or production in general, if you're seeing the snapshot of something on the screen, but if you were to pull back, you would see all the different cameras, all the lighting, the audio equipment. And I remember as a kid watching like behind the scenes of movies and stuff and just being so fascinated by what went on behind the scenes and how they actually made that magic happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's crazy to watch them because, even when they got the camera on the trolley and you see the trolley going, you still see the light guys going and everything else too, trying to keep up and keep that consistency in the viewpoint. Yeah.
It's got to be so synchronized. And when you're balling on a lower budget, you also have to like stay on schedule too. So that's, you hear filmmaking, it's like long hours and lots of reshoots and everything.
Oh yeah.
I remember I was on a shoot once for a short film, and this film, keep in mind, was only like 15 minutes. There's only like 3 or 4 locations, but I mean, just the hours it took sometimes to just get like one shot because there were so many moving variables to it with, like you said, the audio, the camera movement while matching up with the lighting. And it's just fascinating to me.
Oh yeah. It's wild as all get out. It's crazy to me how the indie part is really moved into Nashville, because with the new technology and everything, you really can make a movie on a little baller's budget and turn out a real good product if you've got a good director behind the camera.
for sure.
Somebody that's got the vision, you know.
I'm a huge believer. It's all about like the story, and you hear about movies getting into high level film festivals that were shot on an iPhone, and I think that's super cool because it levels the playing field. And now with AI advancing like it is, and I feel like AI is a kind of a double spectrum in terms of whether you think it's great or it's bad or a little bit of both. But AI has helped a lot with indie filmmaking too, in terms of cutting back on hours and streamlining operations. And we've been able to use AI in our company as well to help with a variety of things. So
right. So you'll have to come out here, man.
Yeah, next time I'm out there. I was out there about 2 years ago to visit a buddy of mine. He's a musician out there, in Nashville. So I loved it. I had a little too much fun at Aldean's, too many bachelor running around, but hey.
I know every year out here, I forgot what it's called. He told me, but it's some kind of movie marathon type thing. And what it is all the indie movie people get together and they're given a topic. And within a certain set time, they have to write the script, make the movie, and present the finished product.
Okay. That is so cool. I think, is that called the 48-hour film festival?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have those nationwide. I actually did one a few years ago in my hometown area. It was honestly one of the most challenging things I've done as a filmmaker. It is extremely hard to get just a prompt, and then you have to go develop a story, develop a script, get locations, shoot, and then also edit it within 48 hours. I remember I didn't get any sleep at all for 48 hours, and it was expected, but it was super cool. Like, it was such a great experience. It polishes your ability. It works that muscle really well. Filmmaker. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, because when I did CMA Fest this year, I had the press credentials, and we did 48 interviews, and they were short interviews, but that wasn't near the work as when I got home and I started editing and uploading the videos.
Yeah.
And by the time I got done, I was so sick of editing.
Yeah. Oh, I feel you.
Dude, I'll pay somebody to do this. Come on.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that. They don't realize, like, literally shooting the footage is, I wouldn't even say it's half the work. Like, the majority of the work is behind the keyboard when you're editing everything. I mean, that is so tedious. And people wonder sometimes why, you charge a lot for media, video production. It's like, because there's so many hours behind the keyboard. I mean, yeah, I've been lucky. Like, we first started out, my brother and I, when we started our media agency, I was doing all the editing and he was doing all the shooting.
Right.
And I swear to God, like, my passion for the game, my passion was dwindling just because I was editing so much. And luckily, like, we did get to a point where we were able to, like, scale and bring on other editors and stuff. But yeah, editing is really where the cake is baked, right? You get all the ingredients, and you got to actually bake the cake if you want the cake to actually turn out somewhat.
You got to get the color right. You got to get the audio right. I mean, and piecing them together, Yeah,
I mean, there's so many moving parts to filmmaking in general. It's like audio tweaking, sound design, getting licensed music, effects. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people don't realize, like, how much work goes into it. Well, what people see is just the peak of the iceberg,
Oh yeah. And then the ones that actually see the finished product, they don't stop and think of how much of all this did just to get to that finished product.
Yes, exactly. All the blood, sweat, and tears.
Then throw CGI in. I mean, my God, those guys. Those guys got to be working their tail off.
Yeah. I have a little funny anecdote here. I remember we do a lot of legacy documentaries. So these are like long form documentaries for clients. And we did one once, and we took about, I don't know, it was probably 6 to 8 months of filming. And I remember once we were done, we got all the footage we needed, production wrapped, the client was like, very naively, wasn't like any harm to this question, but they're like, so when can we expect it? Like 2 weeks or so? Keep in mind, this was a long form, about an hour and a half long documentary. And when they said 2 weeks, I was just like, well, it's going to be a little longer than 2 weeks.
Right.
The project like that took took 4 to 6 months in the editing room, because you want to make sure it's right too. You can deliver a draft and okay, it's passable, but as a filmmaker, you take a lot of pride in your art. You want to make sure that it does the story and the client justice, and so sometimes it can take longer. You hear about movies getting shot and then they're not actually released for like 2 years later in some cases, just because of how grueling post-production was.
Yeah, because I was waiting forever for These Streets We Haunt, and I'm like, dude, you ain't got it done yet. Oh, we're waiting on the editor. And I'm like, I quit asking. And then one day it was just like, hey, movie's done, and I'm like, sweet.
Yeah, there's a reason why sometimes you'll see, like, on the red carpet premieres in movies, you'll see the actor, and the actor has like maybe hair down to his shoulders now.
Yeah.
And then you watch the movie that he's there to his movie, and he has like a buzz cut, and that just tells you right there like how much time can pass.
Oh yeah,
because you can't rush it. You can't rush editing.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Well, I can.
Yeah. So, certain things maybe, but yeah.
No, what I did, it's weird because podcasting is totally different from movies. So when I do a podcast and it's video podcast, even though I've got 3 cameras, we're actually editing the show and taping the show at the same time.
Nice.
Kind of like you would a little 30-minute, movie or a little sitcom show or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. That'll save time.
Oh yeah. So we all do it. Well, not all of us do it. Some of us do it. Some of us don't.
What do you edit on?
This is where you laugh. iMovie.
Okay. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Why not? If it does the trick.
I can take a 2-hour show that I do, get done with it, load it up, and I can edit. And by the time I upload it to the podcast and upload it to YouTube, I got maybe 4 hours in it.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's perfect.
And that's even when, there might be something I need to cut out or,
sure.
That's the main reason for it is the volume levels and the color match, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard to get in there and get those colors just right.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you got different angles going on too, because the lighting is always a little bit different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing too. Like when I first started filmmaking, like we didn't even have lights. Like years ago when my brother and I first started, we didn't even consider like using lights. And then we started to do more research and we realized how much of a difference lighting can really make in the quality of your footage. And not just like the quality, but like setting a mood, the whole branch of cinematography. That's a whole other rabbit hole. I mean,
oh yeah.
Yeah, just those little nuances that you keep discovering along the way. And now it's like we consider lighting one of the most important aspects of production. We go on these shoots to different states. We fly around a lot for jobs, and I swear to God, like lighting is probably 70% of the equipment that we end up taking. Yeah.
I've got in studio, I've got 2 umbrella lights and I've got 2 pod lights.
There you go.
I don't even use the pod lights.
Yeah.
I just use the umbrella lights, and then I'll take and put it in the editing software and color match and get it all where I want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I don't think I'm doing too bad for somebody that didn't know what the hell they were doing a year and a half ago.
I think you're doing great.
But I had all those years, of live performances where I was the light director.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have some background in it.
Yeah, I got a lot of background in lighting and the scene changes and everything else. when different artists are on stage, whether it was rock or country, or I've even done lights for 3 or 4 DJs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a science.
I just like to make it look pretty.
Yeah. Polish it up. Yeah.
That's all you had to do. Polish it all up. But I always liked that. There was always something with me, even when I was younger, going to like live performances, live concerts.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the lighting enhanced the show and the artist that was on stage so much more than if you go to a show at a club and they've got like no lighting at all, except maybe some whites that they put on the band, or yellows or blues. And I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be able to change it up and give me some purples and some magenta and a blue, a royal blue, and just, you could paint different scenes with it,
Yeah. No, it's funny you say that. I've actually admittedly only been to like 2 concerts in my entire life. But I went to a Post Malone concert in Singapore.
Right.
And one of the things I remember the most about that concert was the lighting and just the various amounts of color they were throwing in. And it just it took everything to such a different level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, they did down here in Nashville on Lower Broad. They did a music video, and it was Post Malone and Luke Combs.
Nice.
And they were on the back of a semi-trailer, flatbed trailer. And they were just, I don't know, maybe 2 mile an hour, 3 mile an hour going down Broadway while they were shooting the video.
Uh-huh.
Was it Luke or was it Morgan Wallen?
No, it was Luke Combs.
Oh.
So that's got to be recent, right? Post is doing his country spill right now.
Yeah, he's doing it with like all the big country artists.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff though.
He does. He gets a lot of crap, I feel like, for kind of going down the country road right now. But what's that one song that's really popular right now?
I have no clue.
Oh God, I can't tell you the name, but you hear it on the radio a lot. It's
I
good.
probably heard it.
I didn't know it was him.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and that's one thing people don't realize about Post is that I think that man could probably write any song he wanted to and put it in any genre he wanted to. He is that talented.
Mm-hmm. He is. Yeah. Like I remember when he first came on the scene, he got popular for that one song, White Iverson. And you look at the guy and you think, okay, this guy's just embodying straight, like he's a rapper. He's a rapper.
Yeah.
You dive into him, you look at his past before he got famous, and he was doing like kind of folk type of songs out of Austin, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He's been able to go from rap to like more pop, and then even some rock, like grunge rock, and then now he's doing country. So yeah, to your point, it's like you got that kind of talent, you might as well try different things. Don't be afraid to mess up, right?
Explore it, man. Walk around in it. Enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I have applied that motto to my life, I would say. I think that's why it's like I've dabbled in so many things, because it's just like, you have that fascination for a lot of things and you have that creative mindset. I don't know, just go for different things and see where it leads.
Yeah, because I mean, it's honestly, I never would have tried podcasting if a couple of friends of mine hadn't said, "Hey, why don't you try podcasting?" And I looked into it for 6 months and researched everything I could, and then come up with this.
Yeah. There you go. You never know where like a door opens, where it could lead.
Yeah, or somebody kicking you in the back of the head or slapping you around or something.
Or there's that as well. Hopefully not.
So what have you got a degree in now? Is it the psychology or the philanthropy? Or did I say that right?
Philosophy, yeah. So I got my bachelor's degree in philosophy in 2017, and then I got my master's degree in 2021 in clinical psychology. And it's kind of funny, I make films and whatnot now, and people are like, "Oh, did you go to film school?" And I was like, "No, I studied philosophy and clinical psychology." And they kind of scratched their head a little bit because they just assumed that you had to have studied film. And I don't regret going down that route, because honestly, I feel like philosophy and psychology both equipped me to be a more a more, I guess, powerful storyteller, if you will.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I know a lot of people that have took either, psychology or different things to do with the brain and the thinking process of humans.
Mhm.
And it actually helped them create in a perspective that I don't think a lot of people would go into.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you can actually get into a lot of don't get me wrong. You can get into the happy parts, but you can get into really sick, twisted, crazy crap too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think doing what I do now with this legacy documentary concept where we explore people's lives, like
Right.
who they were and what they've gone through. And oftentimes that leads to a lot of trauma in their lives. And so being a documentarian and having to sit with these subjects and talk to them about these traumatic events that shaped them in one way or another, exploring the nuances of it and understanding like why they are the way they are now based off what has happened in their past. I think my background in psychology just helped me explore that in a tasteful way with them, going at their pace and poking just enough to get to where you want to be in terms of the conversation, but not, causing, PTSD type of element to come up. But no, I was always just fascinated by human behavior, honestly, and just what makes us tick and why we are the way that we are. So,
right.
Yeah. I mean, too, like the philosophy thing, like Joel and Ethan Cohen, the Cohen brothers, they've made No Country for Old Men, Terrence Malick, like they all studied philosophy. That was what they majored in college too. And I don't know, it's a thought-provoking field that makes people think. And I think a lot of people, when they go to the movies, not all the time, if you're just going to watch like a Marvel movie, but oftentimes some people, they want to get the movie to evoke thoughts out of them and different ways of looking at things. So, yeah.
Well, it's honestly, there's some movies out there. I'm not into like the horror stuff that is only twisted or the pop-up horrors. Mm-hmm. I'm not really into that, but like a good psychological thriller.
Yes. Yeah. I'm on the same page.
Because then I get to play that game of what are they fixing to do? What's fixing to happen next? I seen that coming a mile away,
I know what you mean. Like some of the movies when you say that come to mind for me are like David Fincher's Seven. Even Get Out, like the movie that just came out recently, Keenan Peele, what's his name?
I don't know.
He made Get Out. I don't know if you saw that, but it's like the perfect blend of psychological thriller and just a sprinkle of horror without it being grotesque. Because I'm not a fan of like grotesque type of horror movies either. I just find it, I don't know, just off-putting. I don't know why people really are that into watching somebody get their guts torn out by a machete, but to each their own. I'm not going to judge.
Yeah.
But I'm on the same page as you. I like just not really knowing what's next and how the puzzle pieces all come together in a film.
Well, see, that's one reason I did. There was, like with Saw, there was a deep psychological undertone to all that, with him wanting to make people realize their bullshit, calling them out on it, and this is what's going to happen, giving you the consequences of your actions.
Yes.
See, I like that part of it. But the other part where it got into like heavy gore, I just couldn't deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, I personally think the first Saw was like a low key masterpiece. I loved that first movie. At the end too, it was kind of revealed at the end what happened. Wow. I remember just like, I got like goosebumps when I watched it. I remember that it was such a treat, you can watch those type of movies again too. And you still appreciate it and you still like those movies, but there's something about seeing a movie like that for the first time. You just can't get that same feeling again. And So
that's what's weird, because I mean, even when I was a little kid, and I actually talked to Aaron Mertes about this because we got into a whole horror movie thing about the older horror movies, how they were almost cheesy comedic, how they done them. But I love the old Japanese stuff.
Okay, give me some, like, elaborate. I'm not like a student of the.
I'm gonna give you it was heavily popular back in the day. I believe it was in the 60s. I didn't see it till I was like 10 or 11, so that would have put it 70, 71, 72, somewhere around in there. And it was considered like a horror B movie.
Okay.
But it was called The Green Slime.
Okay. What was this movie about?
It was in space with little space creatures coming after you.
Okay. All right.
It was cheesy. It was goofy, but I remember that movie to this day. You know, and I wasn't real wild about the black and white, The Thing, but I liked The Thing that had Kurt Russell in it.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's weird.
Okay. It's based in the
great.
80s.
I'll give you homework if you ain't careful.
Oh, I'm down. I always like I like watching old movies. I mean, I some of my favorite movies are like older, like in the 60s. Like I grew up on John Wayne. Like my family loved John Wayne. I was always watching John Wayne movies. I was like the only kid my age who knew who John Wayne was. But
Oh yeah,
something about those old movies and it just brings you back when you watch them now. You know.
Well, say I thought it was cool when Dean Martin actually did 2 movies with John Wayne, and how those two reacted off each other and played the characters they did. It was amazing.
Yeah. Sons of Katie Elder, and the other one was, I think, Rio Bravo or Rio Lobo. Rio Bravo, I think.
I think it was Real Bravo. Yeah. And then James Caan came on one of them.
Yeah, El Dorado. Yeah.
El Dorado. I mean, that was a good movie.
I used to watch. I have memories. I used to watch that movie so many times as a kid at my grandma's house, and we used to reenact it. My brother and I and my cousin, we would just go play El Dorado, which is where we were just acting the movie out as kids. And I'm going down a nostalgia lane right now, and that's the power of movies, though. That's the power of movies, and that's why I just fell in love with it.
Dude, I do it all the time on here because that's what I got. I got so many memories of so many great things that a lot of people don't even think about anymore. You know, it's I was actually asking Julie. I asked her one day, I said, you know what's funny? And she said, what are you talking about? And I said, used to, you could turn on like channel 17 out here or channel 30 or something like that, and they would show a lot of the older movies. You know, you don't ever see Abbott and Costello anymore. You don't see the Three Stooges like you used to.
Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island was a great one. Yeah.
I used to watch someone. I mean, obviously Gunsmoke, Bonanza, but I used to watch Little House on the Prairie all the time too with my grandma. That was classic.
I was not a House on the Prairie kind of guy.
Oh, you just didn't give it a good enough chance. Come on now, you just gotta roll with it a little bit.
Nah, I mean, you know, I watched some of it. And then I was just like, I moved on to something else. You know, the war movies back then, you know, Midway, Tora. And,
Sands of Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to go on a old movie marathon now thinking about all these. You've seen I think a good one. Have you seen True Grit?
Yes.
I love that one.
The original True Grit.
Of course, absolutely. The only True Grit in my books.
I watched a little bit of the new True Grit, and I'm not going to take it away from him. He did a good job cosmetically and the way he acted in that rough, gruff cowboy type way. But I just couldn't follow it through.
How come on your end? What was your thoughts? I'll give you mine too, but what's your opinion on why it just kind of lost you?
A lot of it was, and I hate to say this because, well, I mean, there's no other way to say it. Once you see John Wayne do it, It fails in comparison, dude.
Yeah, exactly. That was my exact thoughts watching it too. There's just you see John Wayne in that role. I mean, he won an Oscar for that role. I think that was his only Oscar, I want to say. But Jeff Bridges is a great actor as well. But you can't be Rooster Cogburn like John Wayne was. And
then, well, I mean, you look at it. Bottom line, out of all the movies, there was only 2 movies that John Wayne died in, and that was The Cowboys and The Shootist.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Everything else, he was the hero. He was, every little boy wanted to be him,
Yeah. I read a story too. Yeah. He died in Iwo Jima too. He got shot in the back.
You're right.
He, I guess, The Shootist, because The Shootist is honestly one of my favorite John Wayne movies, just because I thought it was a great closure to his career and the way that he went out. Like, he kills 3 people in a shootout.
Yeah.
He gets killed. And apparently when they were writing the script, it wasn't exactly supposed to end that way. He was supposed to actually die in the shootout. But because he was such a legend and a hero and all that, John Wayne was like, I don't really like it that way. No one's gonna kill me full on in a full on fair fight.
Right.
So that's why he ends up getting shot in the back with the shotgun as the fight was over. And that was just an interesting anecdote I remember reading.
Oh yeah. And I think it wasn't Glenn Ford. It was somebody else. Somebody else was directing him, and they wanted him to shoot somebody in the back. And he told the director straight up, look, I ain't made that way. I have never shot anybody in the back, and I never will.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah. I mean, John Wayne was such an icon and a pillar of just like American strength that when he got killed in The Cowboys, Bruce Dern, the actor who killed him, killed him, he was getting death threats, man.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, he was getting death threats. It's crazy.
It's insane. And Bruce Dern, I mean, he's a hell of an actor in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's where, and this is where I get in, not full blown arguments, but there's a lot of actors that I have talked to and everything else. And one of my things is, are you method acting or are you, what are you doing? What is your style?
Yeah. What's your approach? Yeah.
And then I'm just like, cause I'm looking from the outside, and I'm just like,
how do you do it?
You're just getting up there and lying, dude. Come on. Because you hear so many people how they method act, but they get in that character. And even when they're not on set, they're still that little asshole character walking around.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're a thorn in the side of a lot of their co-stars and directors from what you hear.
Yeah. Well, like the Joker, Jared Leto's Joker, he was notorious for pulling pranks all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he sent like a co-stars like a dead rat or something, or just some weird stuff that I guess he drove people insane. But there's sometimes like Daniel Day-Lewis, right? Like just a legend. Like he was a full-on method actor to where have you seen Lost of the Mohicans?
I have not seen it all the way through. I've seen parts of it.
Okay. So he apparently, when he was preparing for that role, he went and lived in the woods for 6 months and built a log cabin and just all this stuff. And I don't know, it worked for him. Sometimes for some people, it's that's what they, I guess, need to become the character. But then, you'll hear, I heard this one actor, he was talking about method acting and how he thinks it's just kind of ridiculous. And he was like, have you ever just tried acting? Because it's that's the whole point. You're supposed to be acting, not literally becoming someone. Because that's not really good for your health if you go too overboard with method acting. It can really impair not only you physically but mentally too if you spend too much time in a character.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's kind of like you got a buddy that you hang out with all the freaking time. You'll start taking on his characteristics.
Whether you know it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. You used to not drink. You've been hanging out with him for 6 months, and now you're out womanizing and drinking all the damn time.
For sure. Yeah. That's why you'll hear about some of those actors who are on like those grueling shoots, or they have a character that's, they have to play, and afterwards they'll talk about it in terms of it being like traumatic, and they need to like take, a year off of acting. Like Tom Holland, the guy who just played Spider-Man movies. He played I forgot what the show was, but it just came out. Apparently he plays like a deranged killer or something. And
didn't he have like 7 or 8 different personalities or something like that?
Could be. I didn't look into the show too much. I more so just read a little bit about it, but I guess he had to, I don't know. I guess it was a pretty traumatic shoot and really took a toll on him.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
Could you imagine method acting, but you've got to be 8 different characters?
Oh, that's a testament to someone's acting. Like, what's his name? James McCovey. He played in that movie Split, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, where he was so convincing in every character he played, and it was just fascinating to watch his performances. Like, my goodness, I don't know how somebody that does that. I mean, it's just, I remember watching it. Like, you're literally playing 7, 8, I don't know how many characters there was, but all these different people, and he did it in such a convincing way, and all the little nuances and facial mannerisms with each character. I mean, yeah, I gotta respect the actors for just somehow bringing those characters to life off the paper.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like voice actors too. I mean, voice actors are they've got to actually go through the motions and act like they're portraying that person on screen, but it's just their voice. Yeah. So
they have to they don't get the opportunity, because a lot of acting is not necessarily verbal, but just your physical mannerisms and your little as an eye look sometimes, or how you just look. Yeah. So those voice actors, they don't get the opportunity to present that. So they have like more pressure on them that they have to do it through their voice. I mean, sure, I guess if it's animated, there's the animators, they have more on their plate to make sure that the character falls in line with the voice reflections. But it's challenging, man. Yeah.
I don't think I could ever do Bugs Bunny.
You never know. Another thing about me, another thing I can add to my list is
Donald talking about you again. Okay, go ahead.
I'm a Donald Duck impersonator. There you go. You add that.
Okay, knife twirler, comedian.
Yeah, exactly.
Philosopher with no ends. The man that gets deep into your psyche, and a Donald Duck impersonator.
That's just and that's why people at the end of the day, it's like, okay, who are you? Who are you really?
What are you doing, man?
You're so spread out. Have you tried focusing on one thing? I don't know. Not yet.
Look, I'll tell you, it does help, because I was, between over the road driving and coming home and doing lights and doing sound. And of course, don't even get me started on the marriages. But anyway, I had the hardest time focusing. I was spread out, and I was running thin on a lot of cylinders.
Yeah.
And once I started researching how to do podcasts and all that stuff, and how to do video podcast, I didn't know nothing about video until I started this thing.
Yeah.
And I concentrate more on this than I do anything else.
Did you develop a passion for it while you were researching it more so, or once you started doing it, did you start to develop like the love for it?
I started seeing where I could use the platform to help out a lot of people that, in other words, would never be heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because I mean, I do any genre of music. I don't care, but we're right here at Nashville. So that's what I get. I get a lot of country music. And don't get me wrong, I do love a lot of country music, but I also love heavy metal. I love Mozart, Tchaikovsky. I mean, my thing is music. Doesn't matter what genre you listen to. In that genre, there is something for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting you say that because like you'll hear about artists who are really famous or successful, and oftentimes their inspirations don't come from the same genre. Like they get inspiration and from country. If they're rappers, like I'm thinking of Machine Gun Kelly right now. That artist is a rapper, but like all of his famous. What's up? What?
We'll forgive you.
GK, not example, but yeah, no, I think that's so cool because you can draw inspiration, different pieces from all different types of music and art, and it's fascinating.
I don't like MGK for one reason and one reason only.
Is it because he's go ahead?
Got nothing to do with his music.
Is it because he's dating Megan Fox?
Well, hell yeah, that's what every guy thinks.
Lucky dog. Yeah.
I said that's what I was about to say, Megan Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got some deeply rooted jealousy towards him for dating my girl too. So
yeah, well, I mean, in the Transformers, that scene where she's looking into the engine compartment.
Yeah.
That was it. They could have made a poster of just that and sold millions.
I think they did. I think that they ran off that as their movie poster, at least one of them for a while. I mean,
great. Now I'm going to be Googling that poster. Thanks. Where can I get this?
I remember as a kid watching that movie. It comes out on DVD. I'm like, all right, finally I can put it in my DVD to rewind, watch.
Pause.
Just kidding.
Lord.
Looking woman.
Your girlfriend or wife's going to beat the crap out of you if she hears this.
Hey, I'm rolling single, so I'm good.
Hey, you're good.
Free as a bird right now.
Yeah. I've been single for 4 years. So
how's it working for you?
Well, let's see. I built my credit score back up. I built my own house. I actually have money now that I could put into this wonderful thing that is a monster with no sufficing the appetite because I'm a gearhead. It gets crazy.
Yeah. All right. So the pros outweigh the cons. All right. Liberated, not lonely. I like that's my outlook on it too. Liberated.
Well, somebody asked me, why have you been single for 4 years? And I said, no. It's not single for 4 years. It's happily single for 4 years.
Yes. There's a difference. Yes.
Because I don't want to put up with the bull crap.
Yeah. There's a famous philosopher. He has a quote. He said that if you are lonely by yourself, then you are in bad company. And that just registered with me,
I'll tell you something my granddaddy told me. And I'll never forget it because I was 14 years old when he told me this. And my grandfather, he liked to
sip a little bit.
Oh yeah. That's it. We'll call it that. Yeah. But one of the things he told me, one of those days that he was totally lucid was, he hollered at me. He said, "Hey boy, I'm going to tell you something that's going to help you the rest of your life." And I said, "What's that?" And he got this look on his face and he's like, "Sometimes it's better to be alone and have peace of mind than it is to have a peace and be out of your mind."
Oh, I like that. That's deep. All right.
Yeah, really, really deep. Yeah. And I forgot about it for a while. Then after the third divorce, it popped me in the back of the head one day.
Yeah. That should be like a tattoo.
I could get that.
Yeah, that's That's deep. Sometimes the booze can bring out the philosophical inclinations in you. And I feel like,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that. It's wise.
yeah. I think he was 70 something years old when he told me that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he died when he was 90 something. I was 14 at the time. So yeah, he was in his 70s.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting sometimes when you're younger, like you're 14, those pivotal years when you're developing, certain things like that stick with you, like those just tidbits, those little anecdotes, those words of wisdom that even though you're young, it's like they stick with you for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I need to put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, there you go. Put it on a wall or something. Frame it.
Write that down, Caitlin.
I'd buy one.
Caitlin's rolling her eyes at me. It's so much fun around here.
Sounds like it.
You got to tell me about this book, dude. Did the psychology and the philosophy help you with writing the book?
No, honestly, I started writing that book when I was 17. So I was still in high school. And then I finished it when I was 21. Actually, no, I was 20 and then took a break from it, just stepped away from it. Then when I was 24, I came back to it, rewrote like half of it, and then got it published, self-published it. Got it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, like the publishing company I went through, they were able to get me on those sites. But I drew a lot of inspiration just from movies that I loved growing up, like The Sandlot, Stand By Me.
Yeah.
I took a lot of inspiration too, just from my own upbringing as well, like the environment I was raised in, small rural town in Central California. And I just kind of had a story that was brewing in me for maybe a year before I actually decided to put pen to paper. And I finally did it. And I was proud with what I accomplished through writing that. And, looking back on it now, there's a lot of things I'd do different or, write it a different way or add different things. But where I was at that age, it's like, I was content with it.
How much time you got left?
So I have a meeting I need to be on at 3:15, so I can get like 4 more minutes. It's just
okay. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll start wrapping it up, but we're going to plan on having you back on because I've enjoyed this conversation. This has been so much fun.
Same. I'd love to come back on. Yeah.
And, but the name of the book is The Orchard's Offspring, 2nd edition. And I'm not giving anything away on this book. I will say, if you do get this book, watch out for Cyrus. That's all I'm going to say.
Wait, you read it? Oh, Lord. Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. Watch out for Cyrus. Well, I shouldn't have gave Cyrus. Who's Cyrus? You don't know about Cyrus until the last couple of chapters. Okay.
I know, but I know everything happens around the hideout. And then you got Jay Hicks, you got Danny, you got Henry. Pay close attention to the brothers.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate
you. Want the brother's name? I'm going to blow you away. You want the brother's name?
Yeah.
Last name's Herrick.
There you go. Yeah.
And the great part about it is, that's why I asked if this was helping with you writing this book, is because you don't really know until you get to it's like 20 pages, 25 pages towards the end. You don't want to put it down. You want to keep finding out what's happening next.
Yeah. No, thank you.
And it keeps you pulled in, man.
Okay. I'm happy to hear that. That was my intention. And it's funny, when I was writing it, the whole time I was just visualizing, how can this be a movie? Like one day I'm going to turn it into a movie. It's going to be on the big screen. And so I actually wrote it the whole time, just visualizing it as a movie. So yeah, I appreciate that. And
the only thing you got to do is just hand this to a big time movie director or producer and say, here's your treatment right here.
Just spam them with just copies of work and all of them, like LA, Nashville, get blacklisted before I even go. Yeah.
Why not? Who cares?
I wish it was that easy, man. Dude, it's the
only thing you gotta do is come to Nashville. You can make the movie yourself.
Yeah. Got to write the screenplay from it first. I've thought about doing that recently, just okay, how do I have the book, the novel, the source material, obviously, but then turning into a screenplay is a whole different animal, man. So I gotta think about that.
Yeah. And a lot of people, they want the treatment first, and then they want the screenplay, and then they want this. I mean, it's a big animal.
Yeah. But it's on my list one day. I don't know how I'll do it. I don't know if I'll direct it or produce it, but it is a dream of mine one day, whenever that might be, to bring that thing to life somehow, even if it's balling on a $200 budget. We'll figure out a way. Might have to cut back
we got to do
on some things, but yeah.
Ericksen, it's been fun, buddy.
Well, thank you very much for
go to your other meeting, and we'll get back together, and hell, we'll do episode 2. I don't care.
Yeah, we'll do the sequel. We'll get the franchise.
All right, Ericksen, I appreciate you, bud. Everybody, you got a website?
I do. Yeah. For we got a couple different websites, but the one we're most active on is dickensbrothers.com. You can reach out to us there. That's all about like our documentary films and whatnot. And feel free to reach out to me. You can also reach out to my email. It's Ericksen@platinumpeak.com. Peak is with 2 E's. So I can send those over to you too, to make sure I spell them right.
Awesome. Yeah, please do send them to me, and we'll get them hooked up.
Sounds groovy. All right. Well, thank you for having me on, and looking forward to the sequel.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you.
Cool. You have a good one.
See you later. All right, everybody. Y'all check out Ericksen Dickens and his book, The Orchard's Offspring, 2nd edition. You can get it at Amazon, and go to www.dickensbrothers.com. Like, share, follow, subscribe. We're out of here. Love you. Mean it. Bye.